If you're looking to grow a strong and powerful posterior chain, then we've got you covered because today I'm giving you 5 of the best exercises to blow up your glutes. All right, let's get into it. Exercise number 1 that we're going to talk about is the Romanian deadlift. Now, this is a fantastic exercise to target the glutes in the lengthened position. You get a really good stretch as you hinge down. Now, there are a few ways to execute this, but when it comes to targeting the glutes specifically, we want to do it with a slight knee bend around 15 degrees or somewhere around there. So when I'm performing the lift, I'm going to go up to the bar, engage my lats, stand up tall. So from this position now, I'm going to want to have a slight knee bend before I start the movement. And then I'm going to think about initiating the movement by pushing my hips up and back so that I maintain a flat back throughout the movement. Feel that stretch in the hamstrings and the glutes, and then come up and stand up tall. You want to really control the negative here, just so that it doesn't pull you down and so that you can really focus on getting that good lengthened position while maintaining the posture throughout the movement. Okay, so exercise number 2 that we're going to talk about is the back extension. Now, this operates similarly to a Romanian deadlift, but you get a little bit more support with the pad. So from here, when you climb in, you lock the legs in and you want to have the pad set up in a way where it's just below the hips. This will allow us to hinge effectively whilst keeping the back straight as we go down, similar to that Romanian deadlift, so that we can feel the stretch in the glutes and the hamstrings. From here, because I have this pad, I can focus on driving my hips into it so that I'm squeezing my glutes as I come up. So you should feel the glutes contract in this top position. Another thing that you can do when you're doing this is turn the toes out slightly. This can help a lot of people to really feel the glutes engage even more in that top position as they move through. So from here, I'm aiming to keep the back straight rather than rounding, which you can do if you're trying to train the lower back, but because we're focusing on the glutes, we're going to keep that back straight throughout every rep. Okay, so exercise 3 that we're going to talk about is a glute kickback. Now, this can be a fantastic exercise to not use as much load with, especially compared to something like the Romanian deadlift or the back extension, which we talked about earlier. So if you have issues with the lower back or there's some struggle with using too much weight, then this can be a great alternative, especially because you get to work one leg at a time. Now, if you have the machine available, even better. But if you don't have a glute kickback machine, then you can still get just as good a workout, or close to it at least, using a cable and one of these leg straps. So when you set up, you want to be mindful of control on every part of the movement, especially because you're standing on one leg and this weight is going to be pulling you forward. So if you have something like this set up with the handles, then this will be fantastic. But if not, you can always still brace on the cable stack itself. So when you set up here, I like to step slightly across from the center line so that my leg is traveling in this direction, a slightly diagonal direction, to get a little bit more stretch on the glutes, especially as it's coming forward. So from here in this position, I will allow the leg to come forward slightly before it touches the stack here. And then I'm going to kick out, trying to keep the leg relatively straight and feeling the glutes contract at the top of the movement. So from here, I come up, trying not to excessively arch the back because you may feel some pinching. So it's fine if the torso is leaning forward slightly, as long as you maintain that position and don't hinge forward as you kick up, because obviously this is going to use a lot of momentum and it will take the tension off the glutes. So try and maintain a good torso position, kick back, hold, feel the squeeze, and then allow the leg to come forward and in slightly so that you get this stretch at the bottom of the movement. Okay, so exercise number 4 that we're going to talk about is the hip thrust. Now, this can be done with a barbell, or it can be done with dumbbells, or even with a machine. And if you do have a hip thrust machine, similar to what I was saying about with the kickbacks, then use that if you can, because it's great and it eliminates a lot of the issues that you may have doing it with free weights, some of which are it can cause some excess strain on the spine with your sort of upper back being on the bench. Also, just having to load so much weight on the bar in between each set, because hip thrusts are a very, very strong movement in most people. So using a machine can take away a lot of the difficulty involved in those aspects. Now, it's a great exercise because it allows the glutes to work in the shortened position, which is somewhat opposite to what we were talking about earlier with, say, something like the Romanian deadlift. So having both of these somewhere in your program, if you want to have a very complete glute workout, can be very, very beneficial. So let's get into the technique. From here, I'm going to climb in like this. You can see already I have a pad on the bar, which you will very likely need. Yeah, especially as you get stronger, this is going to put a lot of pressure on the hips. So you want to have something to cushion that. If you don't have one of these pads, then you can use something like a towel or roll up a yoga mat. Any of those things will be fine also. From here, I'm going to get into this position, lift my legs up like this. And then when I'm actually thrusting, so I want to have a position where my shoulder blades are just above the bench. And then I'm quite secure here. I'm driving through the heels as I lift up and squeezing my glutes. Now you may feel tension more in the quads or more in the hamstrings. So you just play around with the position of the feet to make sure that you really feel the glutes squeezing at the top of the movement. So an example of that is, say, for example, if I feel my quads quite a lot when I'm driving up, then it might mean that my feet are actually a little bit too close to me. So I would just walk them out a little bit, and then hopefully that should help me to feel the glutes a little bit more. One of the other rules when you're doing this, or one of the other things that you can try, similar to the back extension, is turning the toes out slightly so that you feel the glutes engage a little bit more at the top of the movement. Exercise number 5 that we're going to talk about is the reverse lunge. Now, this is a fantastic exercise because it focuses on the glutes in the lengthened position using one leg. And there's a few adjustments that we can make to make it even more challenging in that lengthened position. But let's go through the most basic version first, and then we'll talk about the adjustments in a moment. So when I set up, one of the things that I like to do is use a rack or something to hold on to give me a little bit more support as I'm going through the movement. The emphasis isn't on driving the knee over the toes, which is something that we would do in a walking lunge or a split squat. Here, we're actually going to think about pushing the hips back so you don't see as much knees over toes. We're sitting back into the movement, so the knee angle is a little bit more open. When I do this, you'll see my torso is slightly tilting as I step back into the movement, and this will allow me to push my hips back even more, almost like I'm initiating a Romanian deadlift, so that I feel that stretch in the glutes in that bottom position. You want to really control on the way down so you're not slamming your knee into the floor, and then push through the motion to come up. Now, if I want to make it more challenging and get even more of a stretch, then what I will do is I'll bring something over to elevate the front foot. So you can see here I've put a plate, and what this will allow me to do now is get even more range on the way down, which means even more stretch as I control through the movement. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button and drop a comment if you want any of the exercises explained in more detail. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.